In today's episode, we're diving into a lion attack on a 344-pound woman and 4 other deadly big cat encounters. From a wildlife photographer who got too close to India's striped hunter, to a French blogger who ventured into the territory of Africa's most elusive spotted predator. But first, we start in Brazil, where one act of kindness brought a guide face-to-face with the America's most powerful cat. It was October 12, 2023, at the sprawling Texas Big Cat Sanctuary, where the morning mist still clung to the chain-link enclosures housing some of nature's most formidable predators. The 50-acre facility, nestled in the pine forests outside Houston, served as a refuge for rescued lions, tigers, and other big cats. The sanctuary's peaceful atmosphere belied the raw power contained within its reinforced barriers, where the distant rumble of territorial roars echoed through the dawn air. Towering oak trees provided natural shade over the concrete pathways that connected the various enclosures, while security cameras monitored every corner of the facility. Chloe Davies, a 52-year-old retired school cafeteria manager, had been volunteering at the sanctuary for 3 years. Her gentle demeanor and genuine love for animals had initially made her a valued team member, but her growing overconfidence around the big cats had become a source of concern among staff. Despite multiple warnings about maintaining proper safety protocols, Chloe had developed what she believed was a special connection with the lions, often dismissing safety measures as unnecessary overreactions. On this particular morning, she arrived early for her regular feeding duties, carrying the familiar weight of meat buckets that would sustain the sanctuary's residents through another day. The African lion stands as one of nature's apex predators, with males weighing between 330 to 550 pounds and possessing jaw strength capable of exerting 650 pounds per square inch of pressure. Their muscular forelimbs, equipped with retractable claws measuring up to 4 inches, can deliver devastating strikes with enough force to break bones. Lions are ambush predators by nature, capable of explosive bursts of speed reaching 50 miles per hour over short distances. Their territorial instincts remain intact even in captivity, making them unpredictable and potentially lethal when confronted with perceived threats or opportunities. At 7:30 a.m., Chloe entered the outer feeding area of Caesar's enclosure, an 8-year-old male lion weighing approximately 400 pounds. The feeding protocol required 2 staff members to be present during all interactions, but Chloe proceeded alone, confident in her routine. As she began cleaning the feeding platform, she failed to properly secure the inner gate latch, leaving it partially unlatched. The heavy metal gate, designed to withstand tremendous force, required precise alignment to engage the safety mechanism fully. Caesar, sensing the opportunity presented by the compromised barrier, applied pressure to the gate with his massive shoulder. The latch gave way, allowing the powerful predator to push through into the feeding area where Chloe worked. The lion approached with calculated steps, his golden eyes fixed on the human who had unknowingly entered his domain. Without warning, Caesar struck with his right forepaw, the impact sending Chloe crashing to the concrete floor. The blow shattered her left shoulder blade and fractured her collarbone, the sickening crack of breaking bone echoing through the enclosure. Chloe's body crumpled under the tremendous force, her left arm rendered useless as she attempted to crawl away from the advancing predator. Caesar immediately followed his initial strike by lunging forward, his massive jaws clamping down on Chloe's exposed throat. The lion's canine teeth, measuring nearly 3 inches in length, punctured through skin and muscle tissue with devastating efficiency. His powerful jaw muscles contracted, applying crushing pressure that collapsed her trachea and severed the carotid artery in a matter of seconds. Blood began flowing rapidly from the puncture wounds, pooling beneath her motionless form. The lion maintained his grip on Chloe's neck, his instinctual killing behavior taking precedence as he applied sustained pressure. Her body convulsed briefly before falling still, the massive blood loss and trauma to vital structures proving immediately fatal. Caesar remained positioned over his victim, displaying typical territorial behavior following a successful kill, his breathing heavy but controlled as he surveyed his domain. other sanctuary staff members arrived within minutes, alerted by the absence of Chloe's usual radio check-ins. They discovered Caesar standing guard over Chloe's lifeless body, requiring tranquilizer darts to safely remove the lion from the scene. Emergency responders confirmed that Chloe had died from massive blood loss and severe neck trauma within 3 minutes of the initial attack. The Texas Department of Health launched an immediate investigation into the incident, focusing on safety protocol violations and facility management practices. The sanctuary temporarily suspended operations while authorities reviewed their procedures. Chloe's family released a brief statement expressing their grief while acknowledging her deep love for the animals she worked with, requesting privacy during their difficult time. Local news outlets covered the story extensively, raising questions about volunteer safety standards. Chloe Davies' story was a heartbreaking reminder of how fast a lion can strike when one mistake breaks the barrier. For Marcus Thorne, it wasn't captivity that posed the threat, but India's striped apex predator that led him one step too far. It was March 8, 2016. When the golden afternoon light filtered through the dense canopy of Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan, India, the ancient fortress ruins loomed in the distance as the dry, deciduous forest stretched endlessly, punctuated by rocky outcrops and scattered waterholes that drew wildlife during the scorching pre-monsoon heat. The air hung thick with dust, and the distant calls of peacocks echoed through the wilderness. Marcus Thorne, a 34-year-old wildlife photographer from California, had spent 8 years perfecting his craft, specializing in capturing the raw power and beauty of big cats across the globe. His reputation for taking extraordinary risks to secure the perfect shot had earned him both acclaim and criticism within photography circles. Marcus led a group of 3 amateur photographers on what was supposed to be a routine safari expedition through the park's most tiger-dense zones. His clients had paid premium rates for his expertise in tracking and photographing the park's most elusive predators. The afternoon safari had already yielded several distant shots of spotted deer and langur monkeys, but Marcus grew increasingly frustrated with the mundane captures. Park rangers had specifically warned the group about a particularly aggressive female tiger in the area, known to be fiercely protective of her territory due to recent cubs. Marcus had dismissed these warnings before, having been previously cited for approaching wildlife too closely in other reserves across India and Africa. The Bengal tiger represents one of nature's most formidable predators, with adult females weighing between 220 to 350 pounds of pure muscle and lethal precision. These apex hunters possess incredible acceleration, capable of reaching speeds up to 35 miles per hour in short bursts. Their powerful jaws generate a bite force exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch, while razor-sharp canine teeth, measuring up to 3 inches long, can crush bone and sever major arteries with devastating efficiency. Female tigers become exponentially more dangerous when protecting cubs, their maternal instincts overriding any natural wariness of humans. Their striped coat provides perfect camouflage in dappled forest light, making them nearly invisible until the moment they strike. At 4:15 p.m., Marcus spotted the distinctive orange and black stripes of a resting tigress approximately 80 feet away near a cluster of tall grass. Against his guide's urgent protests, he grabbed his telephoto equipment and exited the safety of their open-air jeep. The other photographers watched in horror as Marcus crept steadily closer, his camera clicking rapidly as he sought the intimate portrait that would define his career. Unknown to Marcus, 2 small cubs lay concealed in the grass behind their mother, invisible to his approaching form, but triggering every protective instinct in the tigress. The tigress remained motionless until Marcus crossed the critical threshold of 25 feet. Her amber eyes locked onto the intruder as every muscle in her powerful frame coiled like a loaded spring. In one explosive movement, she launched herself forward with terrifying speed, covering the distance in less than 2 seconds. Marcus barely had time to raise his camera before 300 pounds of predatory fury collided with his body. The tigress's massive paws struck Marcus's chest, her extended claws raking deep furrows through his khaki shirt and into the flesh beneath. The impact sent him staggering backward as her jaws clamped down on his exposed throat with crushing force. Her 4-inch canine teeth punctured through skin, muscle, and cartilage, instantly severing his carotid artery and crushing his windpipe. Blood erupted from the massive wounds as Marcus's camera equipment scattered across the dusty ground. The tigress's weight drove Marcus onto his back, her powerful jaws maintaining their death grip on his neck. Her rear claws raked repeatedly across his torso, shredding his clothing and opening deep lacerations along his ribs and abdomen. Marcus's arms flailed weakly as his body went into shock from massive blood loss. The tigress held her position for nearly a full minute, her instincts ensuring the threat to her cubs was completely neutralized. When the tigress finally released her grip and retreated toward her hidden offspring, Marcus lay motionless in an expanding pool of crimson. His crushed windpipe prevented any sound as he struggled for air that could no longer reach his lungs. The combination of severe blood loss and asphyxiation claimed his life within 2 minutes of the initial attack. Park authorities launched an immediate investigation into the incident, reviewing safety protocols and guide responsibilities. Marcus's family released a statement acknowledging his passion for wildlife photography, while calling for stricter enforcement of safety regulations. The tigress and her cubs were relocated to a more remote section of the reserve to prevent future human encounters. Marcus Thorne's story was a heartbreaking reminder of how fast a tiger can strike when one mistake breaks the barrier. For Eleanor Vance, it wasn't a predator she was tracking, but a simple act of kindness that led her to the America's most powerful spotted hunter. It was July 22, 2017, in the remote waterways of Brazil's Pantanal wetlands, where the morning mist still clung to the dense vegetation lining the muddy riverbanks. The air hung thick with humidity as countless bird calls echoed across the vast floodplains. Eleanor Vance, a seasoned 41-year-old river guide with 15 years of experience navigating these treacherous waters, steered her aluminum boat through the narrow channels with practiced ease. Her weathered hands gripped the motor's handle as she scanned the shoreline for wildlife, her keen eyes trained to spot movement in the shadows. Eleanor had built her reputation as one of the Pantanal's most reliable guides, supporting her family through ecotourism work that brought visitors face-to-face with South America's most elusive predators. Today, she was leading an American family of 4 on a Jaguar spotting expedition through the remote waterways, where these powerful cats frequently came to drink and hunt fish. The tourists clutched their expensive cameras, eager to capture images of the legendary spotted hunters that ruled these wetlands. The family had specifically requested this remote location after hearing about Eleanor's exceptional track record for wildlife sightings. The area they were exploring was notorious for jaguar activity, particularly along the muddy banks where the big cats would wade into shallow water to catch fish and cool themselves during the heat of the day. Eleanor knew these waters intimately, understanding the rhythms and dangers that lurked beneath the deceptively calm surface. The dense gallery forest provided perfect cover for predators, while the seasonal flooding created ideal hunting conditions. Recent rains had raised water levels, bringing fish closer to the banks and increasing jaguar activity in the area. Jaguars are the largest cats in the Americas, with males weighing up to 250 pounds and possessing the strongest bite force of any big cat. These apex predators are exceptional swimmers and skilled hunters, capable of crushing turtle shells and caiman skulls with their powerful jaws. Unlike other big cats, jaguars kill their prey with a devastating bite to the skull or neck, their canine teeth designed to pierce bone and sever spinal cords instantly. Their rosette-patterned coats provide perfect camouflage in the dappled light, filtering through the wetland vegetation. These solitary hunters are most active during dawn and dusk, though they often hunt throughout the day in cooler weather. At 2:45 p.m., disaster struck when one of the tourists accidentally dropped their expensive camera near the water's edge while trying to photograph a caiman. The device landed partially submerged in the muddy shallows, its lens glinting in the afternoon sun. Without hesitation, Eleanor moored the boat against the riverbank and stepped into the knee-deep water, determined to retrieve the valuable equipment for her clients. Her protective nature and commitment to customer service overrode any caution about entering the water alone. She waded carefully through the murky water toward the camera, her boots sinking into the soft sediment with each step. The reedy vegetation provided perfect camouflage for the 7-year-old male jaguar that had been hunting fish in the shallows around the bend, completely hidden from view. Eleanor moved closer to the partially submerged camera, unaware that she was approaching within 10 feet of the massive predator. The jaguar had been successfully fishing for several minutes. His attention focused on the water until Eleanor's splashing alerted him to her presence. The jaguar, startled by her sudden appearance, reacted with lightning-fast defensive instincts. The 200-pound cat exploded from the water with terrifying speed, his powerful hindquarters propelling him forward in a single devastating lunge. Eleanor had no time to react as the jaguar's massive jaws clamped around her neck from behind, his 4-inch canine teeth penetrating deep into her cervical vertebrae. The attack happened so quickly that the tourists barely registered the movement before Eleanor was already in the predator's grip. The crushing force of the jaguar's bite, measuring over 1,500 pounds per square inch, instantly fractured Eleanor's neck bones and severed her spinal cord. Her body went limp as the jaguar's instinctive killing technique proved devastatingly effective. The massive cat maintained his grip for several seconds before releasing her motionless form and retreating into the dense vegetation along the riverbank. Blood immediately began pooling in the shallow water around Eleanor's still form. Eleanor collapsed face first into the shallow water, her body paralyzed from the catastrophic spinal injury. Unable to lift her head or move her limbs, she drowned in less than 18 inches of muddy water, while the horrified tourists screamed helplessly from the boat. Within 90 seconds, the experienced guide who had navigated these dangerous waters for over a decade was dead. The family watched in horror as the water around her body turned crimson. Local authorities launched an investigation into the incident, while Eleanor's family struggled to comprehend how their primary breadwinner had been killed by the very animals she had spent years safely observing. The Pantanal tourism industry implemented stricter safety protocols following the tragedy, though such encounters remained an inherent risk in one of the world's most dangerous ecosystems. Environmental groups emphasized that the jaguar had acted purely on instinct when defending its territory. Eleanor's death sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community of wildlife guides, who had considered her one of their most experienced members. The jaguar responsible for Eleanor's death was never located, having disappeared into the vast wilderness that served as his domain. Wildlife officials noted that the attack was purely defensive, triggered by the unexpected human presence in the animal's hunting territory. Eleanor Vance's death showed how even experienced guides can fall victim to a jaguar's defensive strike. For Javier Reyes, it wasn't the familiar trail that posed danger, but a protective mother whose instincts would prove deadlier than any marathon. It was September 14, 2015, when golden hour light filtered through the towering pines of Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of pine needles and distant snow, while fallen leaves crunched underfoot along the mountain trails. At 6:30 p.m., amber light created long shadows between rocky outcrops and dense forest. Javier Reyes, a 28-year-old marathon runner from Denver, had chosen this evening for another training session on his favorite route. Standing 5 feet 6 inches and weighing 140 pounds, his compact frame was suited for the endurance running that had become his passion. He was preparing for an upcoming ultra-marathon, demanding both physical conditioning and mental fortitude. His boyfriend accompanied him on these runs, though their different paces meant they often separated at predetermined points. The couple had been running this route for months, drawn by its challenging elevation and breathtaking vistas. Recent Park Service bulletins warned visitors about increased cougar activity. Rangers specifically noted sightings of a female with cubs, urging visitors to remain in groups and avoid dawn and dusk hours. Despite these warnings, their training schedule and the mountain evening's beauty proved too compelling. Mountain lions are among North America's most formidable predators. These solitary cats weigh between 80 to 200 pounds, with females typically smaller but no less dangerous when protecting young. Their powerful hind legs allow vertical leaps up to 15 feet, and horizontal jumps up to 40 feet. Armed with retractable claws up to 4 inches long and bone-crushing canine teeth, they are perfectly evolved killing machines. Their tawny coat provides excellent camouflage among rocks and vegetation, while padded paws allow silent movement through terrain. Female cougars are particularly aggressive defending cubs, which remain dependent for up to 2 years. During this period, mothers establish den sites in rocky outcrops, fiercely protecting territories spanning up to 100 square miles. Any perceived threat triggers immediate violent response. At a familiar trail junction, Javier's boyfriend stopped to rest while Javier continued ahead, maintaining steady rhythm. Rounding a sharp bend, Javier approached within 20 feet of a rocky outcrop concealing a cougar's den. Hidden among granite boulders, a 5-year-old female had established her nursery with 2 3-month-old cubs. Javier's footsteps triggered her protective instincts as she perceived his small frame and solitary approach as a direct threat. The 120-pound cougar launched from the rocky outcrop above, her powerful legs propelling her through the air with deadly precision. She landed squarely on Javier's back with tremendous force, driving him face first into the rocky trail. Her razor-sharp claws raked across his shoulders and neck, creating deep parallel gashes that bled profusely through his torn running shirt. Before Javier could react, the cougar's jaws clamped down on the back of his skull. Her 4-inch canine teeth penetrated his scalp and bone beneath, creating crushing pressure that cracked his skull in multiple places. The 400-pound per square inch bite force easily fractured human bone, her teeth reaching brain tissue beneath. The cougar began the characteristic killing shake, her powerful neck muscles whipping Javier's head side to side while maintaining her crushing bite. This caused massive brain trauma and cervical spine damage. His small frame offered no resistance against her overwhelming strength. The shaking motion spread additional fractures across his skull, while her claws tore at his neck, severing major blood vessels. Throughout the 45-second attack, the cougar pinned Javier to the ground, her weight and claws inflicting fatal damage. The combination of massive head trauma, brain injury, and severe blood loss proved immediately life-threatening. Only when satisfied the threat was eliminated did she release her grip and retreat to her cubs, disappearing silently into the rocky terrain. Javier died within 2 minutes, his injuries too severe for survival. The massive head trauma and brain damage from the crushing bite was instantly fatal, while blood loss would have proven lethal even if rescue arrived immediately. When Javier failed to appear at their meeting point, his boyfriend retraced the trail and discovered the horrific scene. Park rangers and emergency responders arrived within an hour, but could only confirm what was already evident. Colorado Parks and Wildlife launched an immediate investigation, tracking and locating the female cougar and cubs. Following protocol for human fatalities, the mother was euthanized while cubs were relocated to rehabilitation facilities. The incident shocked the local running community and prompted renewed wildlife safety discussions throughout Colorado's mountain parks. Javier's family established a memorial fund promoting outdoor safety education, ensuring his passion would continue inspiring others while emphasizing respect for wilderness. Javier Reyes's story was a tragic reminder of how quickly a mountain lion strikes when protecting cubs. For Scarlett Dubois, it wasn't wilderness trails that called to her, but capturing Africa's most elusive spotted hunter that led her one step too far. It was August 3, 2014, in Kruger National Park, South Africa. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the acacia-dotted savanna as temperatures began cooling from the day's scorching peak. The park's 19,485 square kilometers of untamed African bush stretched endlessly, home to the continent's most formidable predators. Dense thickets of acacia and marula trees created natural corridors where wildlife moved unseen. Scarlett Dubois, a 29-year-old travel blogger from Lyon, France, had arrived at Kruger 3 days earlier with 4 friends. Known for her adventurous spirit and growing social media following, Scarlett built her online presence capturing extraordinary moments in exotic locations. Her Instagram showcased daredevil shots from Patagonian cliffs, underwater shark photography, and close wildlife encounters across 6 continents. This safari represented another opportunity to expand her portfolio and feed her audience's appetite for thrilling content. Their experienced guide had repeatedly emphasized strict safety protocols during the morning briefing. Visitors must remain in vehicles at all times, maintain safe distances from wildlife, and never venture into bush alone. The guide specifically warned about leopards, explaining their territorial nature and preference for dense vegetation where they hunted undetected. Despite these warnings, Scarlett had already tested boundaries twice, stepping out briefly to photograph distant animals. African leopards represent nature's most efficient predators, perfectly adapted for stealth hunting in dense vegetation. These solitary cats typically weigh 130 to 200 pounds, with males significantly larger. Their muscular build, retractable claws, and powerful jaws enable them to take down much larger prey. Leopards remain active during late afternoon hours, particularly in thick cover, providing hunting advantages. Their spotted coat offers perfect camouflage among dappled shadows, while silent movement allows undetected approaches. At 5:20 p.m., while the safari vehicle was parked near elephants at a waterhole, Scarlett noticed colorful birds disappearing into thick acacia bush 100 yards away. Her group remained focused on photographing the elephant herd. Scarlett quietly slipped from the vehicle, camera in hand, pushing through dense vegetation, pursuing what she believed would be spectacular bird photography. The thick bush immediately swallowed her as thorny branches caught her clothing and obscured visibility. She pressed deeper, following bird calls, completely unaware she had entered a large male leopard's territory. The 6-year-old cat had been resting in dense cover when Scarlett's movement and scent reached his acute senses. His territorial instincts triggered as this intruder pushed into his domain. The leopard began stalking silently through undergrowth, padded paws making no sound. His spotted coat rendered him virtually invisible among dappled shadows as he paralleled Scarlett's movement, staying downwind. The predator's muscles coiled with each step. Amber eyes locked onto his target as she continued photographing, oblivious to approaching danger. Without warning, the 150-pound male launched from dense vegetation, powerful hind legs propelling him through air. His front claws extended fully as he landed on Scarlett's back, razor-sharp talons penetrating deep into shoulder muscles and collarbone. The impact drove her forward onto her knees as the leopard's weight crushed down. Simultaneously, the cat's jaws clamped on her neck's back with tremendous force, 2-inch canine teeth immediately crushing cervical vertebrae between second and third vertebrae. His teeth severed the carotid artery and jugular vein. Blood flowed rapidly from puncture wounds as the leopard maintained his killing grip, jaw muscles exerting over 400 pounds pressure per square inch. Scarlett collapsed under the predator's weight, pinned against ground as claws raked across her back and shoulders, creating deep lacerations exposing muscle tissue. Her brief cries for help were muffled by thick vegetation and the leopard's neck position restricting her airway. Massive blood loss from severed arteries, combined with spinal cord damage from crushed vertebrae, caused rapid unconsciousness. The leopard held his grip for several minutes before dragging her deeper into bush. Scarlett died from catastrophic blood loss and spinal injury within 4 minutes of the initial attack, her body hidden among dense acacia thickets. When Scarlett failed to return after 20 minutes, her friends alerted their guide, who radioed park rangers. A search team located her body an hour later, 150 yards from the safari vehicle. Park officials launched a standard investigation, while Scarlett's family in France expressed devastation at losing their daughter to her adventure photography passion. The leopard was not hunted, as officials determined normal territorial behavior. If these shocking big cat encounters left you stunned, click the next video now to dive deeper into the world's most dangerous predator attacks.